Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, rescuers in Louisville work to save a man who fell at a demolition site. And a record amount of small businesses have applied for business applications, according to new data from the U.S. Census Bureau.
And boy, oh boy, did Mother Nature deliver the rain. Some places received well over an inch, and we'll tell you who received what coming up in a few minutes.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. First responders in Louisville are working to rescue a man trapped under debris at a demolition site. Officials say it happened just before noon at the site of the former community correctional facility near U of L Hospital. The worker trapped beneath the rubble is communicating with rescuers, but first responders say it may still be a while before they are able to get the man to safety. After a 6-day manhunt, police have finally arrested a man who is accused of killing his son in Franklin County. Kentucky State Police say Stephen Gertley was found inside a barn on his property shortly before 1:30 this morning. He was arrested and charged with 1 count of murder. Police have been searching for Gertley since Saturday night. KSP says Gertley shot his son, 36-year-old Justin Gertley, after a fight. Stephen Gertley pleaded not guilty in court this afternoon.
Well, we had a nice amount of rain over the past 24 hours. Take a look at some of the big winners here in terms of rainfall. Harlan picking up well over an inch and a half, 1.61 inches to be exact. Frenchburg at 1.51. West Liberty is at 1.53. Whitesburg is at 1.14. And actually, Whitesburg just up to 1.16. Harlan just went up to 1.63. Frenchburg went up to 1.54. Jackson went to 1.06 and then just under an inch over towards Boonville. So this is the latest and greatest information from the Kentucky Mesonet sensors in those respective counties. And you can see live pinpoint Doppler radar. That rain is still pushing through eastern Kentucky, and this is going to be the trend over the next several hours. Rain chances will stay in the forecast, but it's just dark and gloomy and rainy out there at this hour, with temperatures in the upper 40s and low 50s, mid 50s towards Manchester, 53 in London, Somerset. Good evening to you. You're at 54 degrees. So when you wake up in the morning, temperatures in the mid to upper 40s will greet you. Prestonsburg, though, will make it to 50 degrees. Now, we're going to talk about the rain chances, how they're going to clear out. But this time next week, there's a big change in the pattern. And we'll plot that out in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
All right, Eric, thank you very much. Certainly some much-needed rain. President-elect Donald Trump may be in for a confirmation fight over some of his more controversial administration nominations, including the embattled former Congressman Matt Gaetz. CBS's Nicole Sganga has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Representative, sir, I hereby resign as a United States Representative for Florida's 1st Congressional District, effective immediately.
The House clerk read former Congressman Matt Gaetz' resignation letter Thursday morning.
In light of the resignation of the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Gaetz, the whole number of the House is 433.
The resignation came just hours after President-elect Trump announced he planned to nominate Gaetz for Attorney General. But it also came just before Friday's House Ethics Committee vote on whether to release a report looking into a range of allegations against Gaetz, including sexual misconduct. Multiple sources tell CBS News 4 women have alleged they were paid to go to parties attended by Congressman Gaetz that included sex and drugs. The committee has Venmo transactions that allegedly show Gaetz's payments for the women. Gaetz has denied all wrongdoing.
The Ethics Committee is still scheduled to meet tomorrow, and some senators are calling for the report to be released ahead of Gaetz's confirmation hearings for Attorney General.
The House Ethics report, would you want to see it before voting on him?
I don't want there to be any limitation at all on what the Senate can consider.
Trump has already called on Senate Republicans to allow recess appointments for his cabinet picks. The move would enable the president-elect's picks to forego Senate confirmation.
As I've talked to colleagues, there are some real concerns about whether or not the Senate will unilaterally give away its critical confirmation power.
The president has total authority to make recess appointments. It's right there in the Constitution.
New Majority Leader John Thune says he's not ruled out recess appointments, but would prefer the Senate hold confirmation hearings. Nicole Skanga, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And we also learned this afternoon that Trump has named anti-vaccine activist Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who of course ran for president this last time as an independent before dropping out and supporting Trump. He has picked Kennedy to be lead the Department of Health and Human Services. Of course, much more about all these appointments later on the CBS Evening News and tonight at 11. The upcoming trial of a defendant charged in the January 6th Capitol riot has been postponed by a federal judge. William Pope is facing misdemeanor charges for his reported actions during the siege following the 2020 election. Shortly after President-elect Donald Trump won his second term, Pope asked the judge to push back his trial, saying he and others could potentially be pardoned. The U.S. District Judge agreed to the delay, saying a pardon from Trump is possible. Governor Andy Beshear hosted a Team Kentucky briefing today and fielded a number of questions about how he plans to deal with the incoming Trump administration. Beshear made it clear that he is willing to work with the Trump administration so long as the policies benefit Kentucky and are legal on both state and federal levels. Beshear was also asked about a stricter immigration policy expected to be put in place.
Remember that within immigration there's a lot of nuance. You know, there are folks that crossed over and are in the United States illegally, and that's very different from folks that are here legally through an asylum program. And wanting to make sure as we do the analysis moving forward that we recognize that nuance and ultimately react accordingly.
During the briefing, Governor Beshear also announced a huge investment for railway projects throughout the Commonwealth. One day after being tapped as the Senate Majority Leader, Senator John Thune took some time to express gratitude for the man he is replacing, Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell.
I want to also express my gratitude to Leader McConnell for his tireless service to the Republican Party and to the Senate. And I'm glad that while he may be stepping down as leader, he will still be serving here in the Senate.
Well, it's not all bad news for the Biden administration this month. Since President Joe Biden took office in 2021, more than 20 million small businesses have applied for business applications, according to new data from the U.S. Census Bureau. The administration is touting that entrepreneurs have filed an average of more than 440,000 applications every month, more than 90% over pre-pandemic averages.
I think the data is quite clear. The approach that that the Biden-Harris administration has followed for the last 4 years has created unprecedented new business creation. And so, we are hopeful that the incoming administration will, take that win and continue those policies, because, it really shouldn't be a partisan question or a political question.
The White House also notes that applications from women business owners is also on the uptick. Global health officials are sounding the alarm about the surge of a highly contagious disease, measles. According to the CDC and the World Health Organization, global cases of measles surged more than 20% last year. Unfortunately, more than 107,000 people died. Health officials point to falling levels of vaccination during and after the COVID-19 pandemic for the increase in cases. The two-dose vaccine is 97% effective against measles. Ohio's governor has a bill on his desk that would ban transgender students from using bathrooms of the gender they identify as. The bill requires schools to designate separate bathrooms, locker rooms, and overnight accommodations for the exclusive use of either males and females based on the gender they were assigned at birth. This would apply to public K-12 schools. Kentucky is one of 11 states with a similar law on the books. Infant and maternal health nonprofit March of Dimes has given the U.S. a D+ grade for its high preterm birth rate. This is the third year in a row the country has earned that grade in the organization's annual report card on U.S. maternal and infant health. According to the March of Dimes, the rate of preterm birth, in which babies are born before 37 weeks gestation, was 10% last year. That remained unchanged from 2022. Advanced Auto Parts is closing more than 700 locations. The car parts retailer says the closings are part of its plan to improve business performance. The company recently announced another dismal earnings report and lowered its full-year outlook for the second quarter in a row. A full list of the affected locations has not yet been released, but the majority are corporate-owned stores. Advanced Auto Parts has about 5,000 stores. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, a study finds nearly half of all Americans lack confidence in money-related decisions. Ways to help you increase your financial confidence.
And after seeing some much-needed rain, will we clear out just in time for the weekend? Details in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes.